Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be talking about Elon Musk's family, and buckle up because it is a wild ride.
It really is. It seems like every other week there's a new headline about another kid.
Yeah, you're telling me. So our main source today is this People.com article titled "Elon Musk Welcomes 14th Child, His Fourth Baby with Siobhan Zilis." And get this, Elon Musk and Siobhan Zilis, they just welcomed their fourth child together. The announcement was on February 28th, 2025. It was an X post by Zilis.
You know, it's really interesting just how many kids Musk has had and with different partners. It really kind of throws a wrench in the whole 21st century idea of what a family is. It makes you wonder how all those dynamics actually work out in practice and how that's going to change going forward, especially with somebody as influential as Musk.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique situation. So the new baby, a boy, his name is Selden Lycurgus. And Zilis describes him as built like a juggernaut with a solid heart of gold. We don't have an exact birth date yet, but one thing that really struck me was the name Selden. I know, what do you think about that?
Oh, yeah, I picked up on that too. It's probably a reference to Hari Seldon. He's a central character in Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, which is a science fiction classic that Musk has said he loves. So choosing that name, I think that kind of shows that Musk is maybe projecting his own ambitions onto his family. You know, he wants to shape the future and stuff, and he's kind of applying these science fiction concepts to his own personal life, which is really interesting.
Whoa, I didn't even think about it like that. And it's not just the name that's interesting, right? This new baby makes 4 kids for Musk and Zilis. They already have twins, Strider and Azure. They were born in November 2021. And then they have a daughter named Arcadia. And she was actually born on the same day as this new baby, February 28th, but a year earlier in 2024.
And remember, those twins were born just a few weeks before Musk had a kid with Grimes via surrogate. So the timing of all these births is really interesting. It makes you think about what's really going on with all these relationships.
Oh yeah, the Grimes connection. It's easy to forget she and Musk have 3 kids together. They have a son, XA-A12, born in 2020, daughter, Exa Darksider-Il, born 2021, and son, Technomechanicus. He also goes by Tao. He was born in 2023. So that's 7 kids right there.
Right.
But wait, there's more. There's another twist to this family tree.
Oh, yeah. Things get even more complicated when you consider the dynamics of this whole blended family thing. Like, how do they co-parent across all these different households? There's got to be some really complicated logistics and emotions involved.
Yeah, you're telling me. It seems impossible to even imagine how they would coordinate holidays or even just a regular family dinner.
Well, actually, we got a little peek into that from Grimes's X post back in September 2023. She mentioned that she had connected with Zia's and that they're on the same page about the whole situation.
Yeah.
And it's actually really nice to see that they're able to communicate and understand each other.
It really is. And Zilis responded to that post with a lot of positivity. She even said she's looking forward to having kiddo playdates. So the family structure might be unusual, but it seems like they're really trying to make it work for the kids. But just when we think we've figured out this family tree, there's a new branch. Introducing author Ashley St. Clair.
This really adds a whole other layer of complexity, doesn't it?
For sure. On Valentine's Day this year, St. Clair announced on X that she and Musk had a son. His name's RSC, and this was 5 months before the announcement, so that brings Musk's total number of kids to 13 at that point.
And it's interesting that she chose to keep the birth private at first, which really kind of shows you how much media scrutiny Musk is under. She clearly wanted to protect her son from all that.
Yeah, and it's not just about privacy, right? There's also a legal side to all this. St. Clair's representative has said that they're trying to work out a custody agreement, and they're waiting for Musk to publicly acknowledge that he's RSC's father. It even got to the point where a judge ordered Musk to appear in court on May 29th about this custody issue.
Yeah, that definitely adds a legal dimension to all of this. But before we get too far into that, let's not forget that Musk's journey into fatherhood started a long time ago.
No, that's right. We can't forget about his kids with his ex-wife, Justine Wilson. Their first child, Nevada Alexander, was born in 2002, but he sadly passed away at 10 weeks old. And then they went on to have 5 more kids together. Twins Vivian Griffin, born in 2004, and then triplets Kai, Saxon, and Damien, born in 2006.
So Musk's path to fatherhood has been anything but traditional. It spanned over 2 decades and multiple partners.
Yeah, that's right. So we're looking at a grand total of 14 kids with 4 different mothers. Makes you wonder what a family gathering would even look like.
I know, right? It's like a social experiment playing out in front of us,
Yeah.
pushing the boundaries of what we think of as a family.
Yeah, and speaking of pushing boundaries, Musk has always been known for shaking things up, whether it's tech or business or apparently his personal life. So what do you think about all of this for someone as influential as Musk?
That's a great question, and one we should definitely talk about more. But how about we take a quick break, and then we can come back and really get into the implications of all of this.
Okay, so we've got this whole family tree mapped out now,
Hmm.
but what does it all mean? Like, how does this actually work in real life? Especially for someone like Musk, who's got, you know, such a busy job and so much influence.
That's the big question, right? Just the logistics of it all. 14 kids in 4 different homes. It's got to be incredibly difficult, even with all of Musk's money. Just think about all the coordinating, school schedules, activities, holidays, not to mention all the emotional needs of each kid and how they all get along. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I can't even imagine keeping track of all those birthdays. And, the People article doesn't really go into the details of how they make it work. Do you think there's a support system in place beyond just like the money?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm sure he's got a whole team of nannies, assistants, maybe even family therapists to help manage everything. But even with all that help, it makes you wonder how much time and energy he can actually give to each child.
That's a good point. And what about the impact on the kids themselves? I mean, they've
Mm.
got incredible opportunities most kids can only dream of, but they're also growing up in this really public and complicated family, which has got to be tough in its own way.
Exactly. It's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, they've got financial security, amazing education connections, but then there's the downside. Growing up in the spotlight, dealing with all the public scrutiny, trying to bond with siblings who live all over the place, that's a lot to handle.
And don't forget about the mothers. We've got Grimes, who seems to be embracing this blended family idea Zillis is all about, kiddo playdates. And then you've got Ashley St. Clair, who's fighting for legal recognition. That's a lot of different perspectives and emotions to deal with, not just for Musk, but for everyone.
Yeah, it really shows how complicated modern relationships can be, especially with all the unique situations each person is in. Makes us rethink what a normal family even is. There's no one size fits all anymore. And Musk's family is definitely proof of that.
Yeah, there's no blueprint for a family anymore. It's about finding what works, creating a good environment for everyone. But honestly, there's so much we don't know about how this family actually functions.
Yeah.
We only see glimpses through social media or court documents.
Yeah, that's important to remember. It's easy to get caught up in all the speculation and gossip, but we have to respect their privacy, especially the kids. They didn't choose this life.
Totally agree. It's easy to get caught up in the Elon Musk of it all. But these are real people with real feelings and relationships. It goes way beyond the headlines.
Right, and I think what makes this so interesting is that it forces us to think about how families are changing in the 21st century. It's not just the traditional nuclear family anymore. We're seeing all kinds of families now, blended families, same-sex families, single-parent families. And now with Musk, maybe we can call it the multi-partner high-tech family.
It's like we're watching family evolve right in front of us. And with technology changing so fast, who knows what's next? Imagine family reunions 20 years from now. They might need to rent out a whole stadium.
Uh-huh, yeah. But all jokes aside, Musk's situation is a reflection of a bigger trend. We're moving away from the traditional norms, and people are more accepting of different family structures. This is a conversation that's happening all over society, and Musk's family is putting it front and center.
Yeah, it's a conversation we
Hmm.
need to have. And we need to do it with empathy and a willingness to see things from different perspectives. But going back to Musk's family specifically, I wonder about the long-term effects of how he's approaching family planning.
That's a big question. And it's one that people have a lot of different opinions on. Some people might say it's great that he's having so many kids, especially with birth rates declining in a lot of places. But others might say it's not ethical to have so many children with different partners, especially given his wealth and influence.
Yeah, it's a complicated issue for sure, and there's no easy answer. But it's a conversation worth having, especially since people are so fascinated by Musk's personal life. Every time he has another kid, it's all over the news, which makes you think about where the line is between public interest and privacy.
It's a tough balance. He is a public figure, so people are naturally curious about him, and his family is part of that. But we can't forget that his kids are private citizens, and their well-being should come first.
Totally. It's like we're watching a social experiment in real time, and it's impossible to know what the long-term effects will be. But anyway, changing gears a bit, what do you think are the key takeaways for our listeners? What can we learn from all of this about Elon Musk's family? Okay, so we've talked about a lot here, Musk's family tree, the logistics, the ethics. But for our listeners, what are the big takeaways from all this? What can we learn from this deep dive into Elon Musk's family?
Well, I think there are a few really important things to keep in mind. First of all, Musk's story shows us how much families are changing in the 21st century. The old nuclear family model isn't the only way anymore. We're seeing all kinds of families now, and people are more accepting of that. Blended families, same-sex families, single parents. And now with Musk, we've got this multi-partner family.
Right, so it's not about fitting into a specific mold anymore. It's about finding what works best for your family.
Exactly. It takes communication, flexibility, and being open to new ways of thinking about family. And, in a way, Musk's approach to family is kind of like his approach to technology and business. He's not afraid to challenge the status quo and create something new, whether it's electric cars, space travel, or apparently family structures.
Wow, that's a really interesting connection. So basically, takeaway number one is to be open to change and find what works for you. What else should we add to our list?
I think another really important takeaway is responsible family planning. No matter how much money you have, having kids is a huge responsibility. You have to think about the emotional, logistical, and financial impact on everyone involved.
It's not just about having kids, it's about making sure they have a good life. Which brings us to takeaway number three, putting the kids first. No matter how unusual your family might be, the kids' needs should always come first.
Absolutely. It's about creating a stable environment where they feel loved and supported, encouraging healthy relationships between siblings, even if they live apart, and protecting them from the media and all the public attention, especially when they're young.
That's a big job, but it's so important. So to recap, we've got adaptability, responsible planning, and prioritizing the kids. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Well, I think it's important to remember that even though Musk's situation is really unique, the themes we're talking about are relevant to a lot of people. Co-parenting.
Well said. So there you have it, folks, our deep dive into Elon Musk's ever-expanding family. We talked about the key players, the challenges, the ethical questions, and the bigger picture. It's a story that's both strange and familiar. It raises more questions than answers. But it makes us think about the future of family in a world that's constantly changing.
It reminds us that there's no right way to be a family, and that the most important thing is love, support, and understanding.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And on that note, we'll leave you with one final thought. With all the crazy advancements in technology, a world that Musk is helping to shape, how do you think families and relationships will change in the coming decades? It's something to think about as we all move forward together. Stay curious, everyone, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.